Welcome to our program this evening. We're so glad to see you. Before we start our story, I have a few pieces of information for our adult friends in the audience. My name is Michelle Stempian. I am the Education and Community Programs Manager at the Holland Museum. And just to let you know, this program this evening is being recorded and will be available in a few days on the Holland Museum YouTube page and our website to watch again and share with friends. We do ask right now during the story that you stay on mute, but when we have our discussion after the story, you will be able to unmute and ask questions and participate in the discussion. Also, for our adult friends in the audience, we will be sending out a survey from the Fair Housing Center of West Michigan and a survey from the museum by email after the program. We would love if you could complete both of those and be sure to let us know any topics that might be of interest for future programs. I have a few people to thank before we get started. Tonight's program is part of the Holland Museum's Cultural Lens series. The series is sponsored by Spectrum Health Zeeland Hospital and Warner Norcross and Judd, with additional support from the Holland Zeeland Community Foundation and Herman Miller Cares. We are also grateful to have the continued support from Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs and the National Endowment for the Arts. I also want to thank our partner for this program, the Fair Housing Center of West Michigan, and our two program leaders tonight, Brianna Miranda and Brisa Martinez-Contreras. We have some information from the museum. We have a new exhibit at the Holland Museum, Matthias Alton Beyond the Oil Paintings. The exhibit celebrates the 150th anniversary of the birth of Matthias Alton, one of West Michigan's most recognized artists. We will display some of Alton's unique pieces of watercolors and sketches from the Grand Valley State University Art Gallery collection. The Holland Museum will be the only venue hosting these images this year, and there is a family gallery hunt, so there is fun for visitors of all ages. So we hope you will come by the museum to explore soon. The museum's current hours are Monday, Friday, and Saturday from 10 to 5. In addition to the exhibits, we have unique items in the gift shop, and memberships make great gifts all year long. We are also open the second Monday of the month in the evening from 4 to 7 for free. So that is a great time for family visits. We continue to offer these programs at no cost, so we can be as accessible as possible to the community. However, if you enjoy the programs and have the capacity, please consider a donation to the Holland Museum. So let's welcome our program participants tonight. They are going to read the book, The Fair Housing 5 and the Haunted House to you. Brisa Martinez-Contreras is a senior at Holland High School. She is also a student at the Career Line Tech Center, where she studies public safety and social services. Brisa will be reading the book in Spanish. Brianna Miranda is the Education and Outreach Coordinator at the Fair Housing Center of West Michigan. She will be reading the book in English, and then Brisa and Bree will have a chat with you about the story. So let's get started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for joining us today on our reading. We're going to be reading The Fair Housing 5 and the Haunted House. All right, to start. Hi, my name is Maria, and I'm in the 5th grade.
Hola, me llamo Samaria y estoy en quinto grado.
These are my friends. The 5 of us like spending time together because we have a lot in common. Ricardo and James like sports. Chelsea and Layla like to draw. James and I like to play music.
Estos son mis amigos. A los 5 nos gusta estar juntos porque tenemos muchas cosas en común. A Ricardo y a James les gustan los deportes. A Chelsea y a Layla les gusta dibujar. A James y a mí nos gusta tocar música.
The 5 of us also like spending time together because we are different in a lot of ways. We have different religions, we eat different foods, we have different ways of moving around.
A los 5 también nos gusta estar juntos porque tenemos muchas diferentes aspectos. Tenemos religiones diferentes, comemos cosas diferentes, tenemos maneras de disciplinarnos diferentes.
This is our clubhouse. We built it ourselves under an old oak tree. We come here after school to do our homework and play. I like everything about our clubhouse, but it wasn't always that way. Once upon a time, there was a big empty house across the street from our clubhouse. We didn't like it at all. A for rent sign sat out front, but nobody ever moved in. When people visited the house, they always left quickly, looking troubled. Every night, a single lamp glowed through an upstairs window, and when it was windy, up the big iron gate would rattle and shake. We were sure that the house was haunted.
Este es nuestro club. Lo construimos nosotros mismos bajo en un viejo roble. Venimos aquí después de la escuela a hacer nuestras tareas y a jugar. A mí me gusta todo de nuestro club, pero no siempre fue así. Había una vez una casa grande y vacía al otro lado de la calle, justo enfrente de nuestro club. No nos gustaba nada. En el frente había un cartel de se alquila, pero nadie nunca se mudaba allí. Cuando venía gente a ver la casa, siempre se iba rápido, con cara de decepción, preocupación. Todas las noches una sola lámpara brillaba detrás de una ventana del segundo piso, y cuando soplaba el viento, el gran portón de hierro se sacudía y crujía. Estábamos seguros que la casa estaba embrujada.
One night, I came home and found my mother at the kitchen table with the newspaper spread out in front of her. "What's going on?" I asked. She smiled. "It's time for us to move into a new apartment. Why don't you help me look?" I sat down next to her. There are lots of houses listed on the page. Together, we looked at them, one by one. My mom was thinking about grown-up things. "We need a place that's closer to your school and my office. And it needs to be a price we can afford," she said. I was thinking about kid things. "I want my own bedroom and I want to live close to my friends," I said.
Una noche llegué a mi casa y encontré a mi madre sentada en la mesa de la cocina con el periódico abierto frente a ella. ¿Qué haces?, pregunté. Ella sonrió. "Es hora de mudarnos a un apartamento nuevo. ¿Por qué no me ayudas a buscar?" Me senté a su lado. En la página aparecían muchas casas anunciadas. Juntas las miramos una por una. Mi mamá pensaba en cosas de adultos. "Necesitamos un lugar que esté cerca de tu escuela y de mi oficina y a un precio que podamos pagar", dijo. Yo pensaba en cosas de niños. "Quiero un cuarto para mí sola y quiero vivir cerca de mis amigos", dije.
Finally, we found the perfect place. It had 2 bedrooms, one for my mom and one for me. It was near the school and not too far away from my mom's work. There was a grocery store down the street and a bus stop on the corner. The best part was that it was right across the street from my clubhouse. I looked closer. The picture in the paper was of the haunted house.
Finalmente encontramos el lugar perfecto. Tenía 2 cuartos, uno para mi mamá y uno para mí. Estaba cerca de la escuela y no muy lejos del trabajo de mi mamá. Había un supermercado en la misma calle y una parada de autobús en la esquina. Lo mejor era que se encontraba justo enfrente de nuestro club. Miré con más atención. La foto del periódico era de la casa embrujada.
The next day, we went to see the apartment after school. I was afraid. My mom didn't know that the house was haunted. I gripped her hand as we passed the clanging iron gate. I closed my eyes tight when she rang the doorbell. I heard heavy footsteps, the sound of a lock, and the creak of a door. "Hi, are you here to look at the apartment?" I opened my eyes. It wasn't a ghost or a monster or a vampire who stood before us. It was just a regular man. And behind him was a very nice house. "Hello," my mother said. "This is my daughter, Samaria." The man's smile vanished instantly. "Oh, I'm sorry," he said. "I don't rent to families with children." He shut the door. My mother shook her head. "Well, I guess we'll have to keep looking," she said.
Al día siguiente fuimos a ver el apartamento después de la escuela. Yo tenía miedo. Mi mamá no sabía que la casa estaba embrujada. Apreté su mano mientras pasábamos por el portón de hierro chirriante. Cerré con fuerza los ojos mientras mi mamá tocaba el timbre. Oí pasos pesados, el sonido de la cerradura y el crujido de la puerta. "Hola, ¿está aquí para ver el apartamento?" Yo abrí los ojos. No era una fantasma, ni un monstruo, ni un vampiro que se encontraba enfrente de nosotras. Solo era un hombre común y corriente, y detrás de él había una casa agradable. "Hola", saludó mi madre. Esta es mi hija Samaria. La sonrisa del hombre se desvaneció al instante. "Ah, lo lamento", dijo. No alquilo a familias con hijos. El hombre cerró la puerta. Mi mamá sacudió la cabeza. Bueno, supongo que tendremos que seguir buscando, dijo.
That night, I couldn't sleep. I felt confused. Why didn't the landlord want to rent to a family with kids? Had I done something wrong? I felt sad. The house was perfect for us, especially now that I knew it wasn't haunted. What if other landlords turned us away? What would we do if we couldn't find a place to live? The next day, I told my friends what had happened. It just doesn't seem fair, Chelsea said, frowning. And why wouldn't someone want to rent to a family with kids in the first place? Added Layla. Having kids in the neighborhood is good for everyone. Without kids, who would organize kickball games in the park? Who would set up lemonade stands on hot days? That gave me an idea. This calls for a top secret investigation, I said.
Esa noche no pude dormir. Me sentí confundida. ¿Por qué el propietario no quería alquilar a una familia con niños? ¿Había hecho algo yo? Me puse triste. La casa era perfecta para nosotros, especialmente ahora que sabía que no estaba embrujada. Y si otros propietarios también nos rechazaban, ¿qué haríamos si no encontrábamos un lugar para donde vivir? Al día siguiente les conté a mis amigos lo que había sucedido. No me parece justo, dijo Chelsea con el ceño fruncido. ¿Y por qué razón alguien no quería alquilarle a una familia con niños? Agregó Layla. Tener niños en el vecindario es bueno para todos. Sin niños, ¿quién organizaría partidos de kickball en el parque? ¿Quién pondría puestos de limonada los días de calor? Eso me dio una idea. Esto exige una investigación ultra secreta, dije.
We want to know if the landlord is turning away other families. So let's set up a lemonade stand in front of the clubhouse on Saturday. We'll use it to spy on the house from across the street. And that's exactly what we did.
Queremos saber si el propietario está rechazando a otras familias. De modo de que el sábado pondremos un puesto de limonada delante de nuestro club. Lo usaremos para espiar a la casa desde el otro lado de la calle. Y eso fue exactamente lo que hicimos.
Saturday morning was quiet. I counted 2 dog walkers and 3 morning joggers, but not one person came in or out of the house across the street. But all of a sudden, a car pulled up in front, and a woman got out with a kid about our age and a little baby. We saw her disappear into the house. I wasn't surprised when a few minutes later, she came out with a frown on her face. Are you going to move into the house? I asked. No, we're not moving in, the boy said. My mom doesn't speak English very well, so I was helping by telling the landlord that what she was saying. Then he told us we both have to speak English to live here. I thought about that. Ricardo and Chelsea's parents speak other languages too, because his family is from Mexico and her family is from Vietnam. That means they have different nationalities. I always thought it was cool to speak another language. Why would the landlord think that was a bad thing? I wanted to tell the woman that I knew how she felt, but I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to give our top secret investigation away.
La mañana del sábado estuvo tranquila. Conté 2 personas que paseaban a su perro y 3 que habían salido a correr, pero nadie entró ni salió de la casa. Pero de pronto un auto se detuvo justo enfrente y de él bajó una mujer justo con un niño de nuestra edad y una bebé. Lo vimos desaparecer dentro de la casa. No me sorprendí cuando unos minutos más tarde la mujer salió con cara de mal genio. ¿Van a mudarse en la casa? Pregunté. No, nos mudaremos, respondió el niño. Mi mamá no habla bien el inglés, de modo que yo ayudaba traduciéndole al propietario lo que ella decía. Luego el hombre nos dijo que ambos deberíamos hablar inglés para vivir aquí. Yo me puse a pensar en eso. Los padres de Ricardo y Chelsea hablan otros idiomas también. ¿Por qué los papás de él son de México y los de ella son de Vietnam? Eso significa que tienen distintas nacionalidades. A mí siempre me pareció genial hablar otro idioma. ¿Por qué el propietario pensaría que es algo malo? Tenía ganas de decirle a la mujer lo que yo sabía, cómo se sentía, pero me callé porque no quise que descubriera nuestra investigación ultra secreta.
1 hour, 2 more dog walkers, and a fire engine later, a woman got off the bus on the corner and walked up to the house across the street. She didn't have any children with her. Surely the landlord will rent to her, I whispered to my friends. But to my surprise, the woman was back out on the street in no time. Are you going to move into the house? I asked. No, I'm not moving in, the woman huffed. The landlord thought I would prefer to live in a neighborhood with more people like me. What does that mean? I asked, confused. The woman frowned. I don't think he rents to Black people. I looked around at my friends. All of us were different races. Why did it matter?
Una hora, dos personas paseando a sus perros y un camión de bomberos más tarde. Una mujer se bajó del autobús en la esquina y caminó hacia la casa de enfrente. No tenía niños con ella. Seguramente el propietario le alquilará la casa a ella. Le susurré a mis amigos. Pero para mi sorpresa, en un instante la mujer estaba nuevamente en la calle. ¿Se mudará en la casa? Pregunté. No, no me mudaré, resopló la mujer. El propietario pensó que yo prefería vivir en un vecindario con más personas como yo. ¿Qué se significaba eso? Pregunté confundida. La mujer frunció el ceño. Creo que no le alquila la casa a personas de raza negra. Mira, mis amigos, nosotros éramos de distintas razas. ¿Por qué importaba?
2 hours, 3 more joggers, and an ice cream truck later, a man walked up with his dog. This man was white like the landlord and didn't have any kids with him. Surely the landlord will rent to him, I whispered to my friends. But to my surprise, a couple minutes later, the man was back out on the sidewalk. Are you going to move into the house? I asked. No, I'm not moving in. The man shrugged and patted his dog. I'm blind, and my guide dog helps me get around. But the landlord says I'm not allowed to keep a dog in the house, so I can't live here. I thought about people I knew who needed certain things to get around because of their disabilities. Why should they be treated any differently?
Después de otras 2 horas, 3 corredores más y un camión de helados, apareció un hombre caminando con un perro. Este hombre era blanco como el propietario y no tenía niños con él. Seguramente el propietario le alquilará la casa a él. Le susurré a mis amigos. Pero para mi sorpresa, unos minutos más tarde, el hombre estaba de vuelta a la acera. ¿Se mudará en la casa? Pregunté. No, no me voy a mudar. El hombre se encogió de hombros y acarició a su perro. Soy ciego y a mi perro me guía a desplazarme, pero el propietario dice que no puedo tener un perro en la casa, de modo que no puedo vivir aquí. Yo pensé en las personas que conozco que necesitaban ciertas cosas para desplazarse a causa de sus discapacidades. ¿Por qué tratarlas de modo diferente?
As the sun began to set, we were sure that something was wrong. Why would the landlord turn away so many nice people just because of their race, disability, or the fact that they had kids? Maybe he wants to keep certain kinds of people from moving to the neighborhood, James said. That made me angry. That's not fair. It's our neighborhood too, I cried. After all, our clubhouse was across the street. On the way home, I thought about how my mom and I still didn't have a place to live.
¿Por qué el propietario rechazaría a tantas personas agradables simplemente por su raza, su nacionalidad, su discapacidad o por tener hijos? Tal vez quería evitar que cierto tipo de personas se muden al vecindario, señaló James. Eso me enojó. No es justo. Es nuestro vecindario también, exclamé. Después de todo, nuestro club estaba al otro lado de la calle. De camino a casa pensé en que mi mamá y yo todavía no teníamos un lugar a donde vivir.
In school the next day, Miss Butler was teaching a history lesson. Once, not too long ago, Black people in our country couldn't live in certain neighborhoods just because of their race, she told us. Now, what are some reasons people choose to live where they do? I knew the answer to this question. My mom had just talked about it. Well, my mom and I need to live close to school and her work, I said, and we need a place with 2 bedrooms that we can afford. Yes, said Miss Butler. Those are important things to think about when choosing a home. Now, what if someone took away your opportunity to choose? How would it feel if someone decided that a house wasn't right for your family just because of your race or religion, because your family has kids, or because you have a disability? I knew the answer to that question too. I would feel sad and upset, I said, and things would be a lot harder for my family.
Ese lunes en la escuela, la señora Butler estaba dando una lección de historia. En otros tiempos no tan lejanos, las personas de raza negra en nuestro país no podían vivir en algunos vecindarios debido a su raza, nos explicó. Ahora, ¿cuáles son las razones por las que la gente decide vivir en un determinado lugar? Yo sabía la respuesta a esa pregunta. Mi mamá y yo acabamos de hablar de eso. Bueno, mi mamá y yo necesitamos vivir cerca de la escuela y de su trabajo, respondí. Y necesitamos un lugar con 2 cuartos que podamos pagar. Así es, dijo la señora Butler. Esas son cosas importantes para tener en cuenta cuando buscamos una vivienda. Y si alguien les quitara la oportunidad de elegir, ¿cómo se sentiría alguien decidiera que una casa no es adecuada para su familia solo por su raza, su nacionalidad o su religión, porque su familia tiene hijos o porque tienen una discapacidad? Yo también sabía la respuesta a esa pregunta. Me sentiría triste y angustiada, dije, y las cosas serían más difíciles para mi familia.
Miss Butler explained that when someone takes away opportunities from a group of people just because of who they are, that's called discrimination. Discrimination makes life harder for a lot of families. Many brave people have fought to stop it. She told us how Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. led marches into neighborhoods where Black people were not welcome. The marchers were folks just like us who stood strong in the belief that discrimination is wrong, she said. Because of their courage, there are now rules against discrimination in housing. I snuck a glance at my friends. Suddenly, everything was making sense. I raised my hand.
La señora Butler explicó que cuando alguien le quita oportunidades a un grupo de personas solo por ser quienes son, a eso se le llama discriminación. La discriminación hace que la vida de muchas familias sean más difíciles. Muchas personas valientes han luchado por eliminarla. La señora Butler nos contó cómo el Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. liberó marchas en los vecindarios donde las personas de raza negra no eran bienvenidas. Los manifestantes eran personas como nosotros que se mantuvieron firmes en la convicción de la discriminación hasta mal, señaló. Gracias a su valentía, hoy las leyes contra discriminación en la vivienda. Yo miré a mis amigos, de repente todo tenía sentido, levanté la mano.
My mom and I tried to rent a house, and the landlord told us he doesn't rent to families with kids, I said. Then I told her about our top secret investigation. When I was done, Miss Butler smiled. Even though discrimination is against the rules, it still happens. When you get home from school, tell your mom to call the Fair Housing Center. They help people who are treated unfairly when they are looking for a home.
Mi mamá y yo intentamos alquilar una casa, pero el propietario nos dijo que no quería alquilar a una familia con niños. Delante. Luego le conté sobre nuestra investigación ultra secreta. Cuando terminé, la señora Butler sonrió. Aunque la discriminación es contraria a las leyes, igual sucede. Cuando llegues a tu casa, luego de la escuela, dile a tu mamá que llame al Centro para la Vivienda Justa, Fair Housing Center. Ahí ayuda a las personas que reciben un trato injusto cuando están buscando una vivienda.
I did just that. My mom called the Fair Housing Center and they listened to our story. A week later, we got a call back. Using our investigation, the Fair Housing Center proved the landlord was discriminating. They were going to work with us and the landlord to make sure that my mom and I could move into the apartment. I couldn't wait to tell my friends and Miss Butler the next day. Thanks to us, the Fair Housing Center will make sure the landlord treats people fairly from now on, I told them after class. Congratulations, said Miss Butler. You all really made a difference. You should call yourselves the Fair Housing Five.
Y eso fue exactamente lo que hice. Mi mamá llamó al Centro para la Vivienda Justa y ellos escucharon nuestra historia. Una semana después recibieron una llamada. Gracias a nuestra investigación, el Centro para la Vivienda Justo probó que el propietario estaba discriminando. Iban a trabajar con nosotros y el propietario para asegurarse de que mi mamá y yo pudiéramos vivir en el apartamento. Esperé ansiosa al siguiente día para contarles a mis amigos y a la señora Butler. Gracias a nosotros, el Centro para la Vivienda Justa se asegurará que de partir de ahora el propietario trate a las personas de manera justa. Les conté después de clase. Felicitaciones, dijo la señora Butler. Ustedes realmente arreglaron la situación. Deberían llamarse los 5 para la vivienda justa.
Back at the clubhouse, we celebrated and made plans. We should tell our families about fair housing, said Ricardo. And our friends at school, added James. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Who could it be? Didn't they see the sign to keep out? We couldn't just let anyone in. But then I remembered what it felt like to be turned away from a house I wanted to live in. If houses should be open to everyone, so should our clubhouse. I opened the door wide. Come on in, I smiled. My name is Maria. We have some very important work to do. Want to help?
Nuevamente el club celebramos y hicimos planes. Deberíamos contarles a nuestras familias sobre vivienda justa, dijo Ricardo, y a nuestros amigos en la escuela, agregó James. Justo en ese momento alguien golpeó la puerta. ¿Quién podría ser? No había visto afuera el cartel de no pasar. No podíamos dejar que nadie entrara. Pero luego recordé lo que se siente ser rechazada en una casa donde yo quería vivir. Si las casas deben de estar abiertas a todos, lo mismo debería pasar en nuestro club. Abrí la puerta. Adelante, sonrí. Mi nombre es María. Tenemos un trabajo muy importante que hacer. ¿Quieres ayudar?
And that is the end of the book. The end. Thank you guys for listening. And I'm going to provide some little bit more information about the book. So this book was developed by the Louisiana Fair Housing Action Center, formerly the Greater New Orleans Fair Housing Action Center. This book was written in collaboration with teachers, parents, and students. And it kind of shows shows about housing discrimination and systemic inequality. So yeah, we'd like to thank the Louisiana Fair Housing Center for producing this really great resource. And then a little bit about us. So you just heard this story about somebody that faced discrimination, and there is a fair housing center in your area. I am the education outreach coordinator there. We're located in Grand Rapids, but we serve 12 counties in West Michigan. So if you ever face anything or hear about anything, please reach out to us. You can call our number at 616-451-2980, or you can email us at the email there. I think there is also information about our contact information in the book if you received one. And now we'll transition into our discussion questions. So, sorry, there's a little bit of light there. Can anyone tell me what discrimination means from reading this book?
Feel free to unmute yourself and you can speak up. There are not that many people up, so we'd love to hear your voices. We'd also love to see your faces.
Hi, this is Yada Ramirez. I guess I would say that ultimately, simply put, I feel that the book, especially from a child's perspective, was trying to make the point that discrimination is any time when somebody is treated different than somebody else in an unfair way. And so that would be my input to that.
Thanks. That's a really great way to put it. Yeah, it's taking away opportunities from people or treating them badly just because of who they are. Yeah. Does anyone want to add anything to that? All right. Some other questions. What do you think you would have done if you were Samaria? This is a tough question. If you're just learning about fair housing, you might have not known anything to do, but now that you know, what would you do? Yeah, go ahead. I think it was Rochelle. I don't know your name. You can unmute yourself.
Try again to unmute. There.
We still need you to unmute.
Yep, try and unmute. We still can't hear you.
There you go.
I would have told the Lord guy to say, I'm gonna move into this house no matter what.
Yeah, you just tell them, hey, I'm gonna move in no matter what. Yeah, that's a really great answer. Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? If not, I can move on.
I think I would have done the same, what Everett said.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you just strong with your views, like I'm gonna just live here. This is where I want to live. Great, thank you. Let's go on. So what did the landlord do? Who did he deny, and why, and what were some of the reasons he denied them?
He denied the girl and her mother because the mother had kids.
Mm-hmm.
He denied someone that was Black because of his skin color. He also denied a Mexican family because they spoke a different language.
Yeah. Was there anyone else that was denied that anyone can think of? Yeah.
The guy was blind, and the landlord said he couldn't have dogs.
Right. Yeah. He had a service animal that was there to help him, guide him because he was blind and he couldn't have that with him, and which is discrimination. People with disabilities are allowed to have different things to help them enjoy their housing. Those are really great. Thank you, guys. How do you think, or how would you feel if you were Samaria? She kind of talked about some emotions she had. How would you guys feel? I know you guys said you would just say, I'm going to move in, but what if he was like, no, you can't, and lock the doors? How would you guys feel? Yeah, go ahead.
Angry.
Angry? Yeah. Go ahead.
I would feel pretty disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a really great place for them to live. It was right across from her clubhouse. It would have been so easy to go play with her friends. Those are valid emotions.
I think Ezra is showing his emotions.
Yeah. Thank you. So talking about your neighborhood, what do you guys like about where you live? I know I like that I have a park just a couple streets away that I can walk my dog at. You like your room, Ezra? Is that what you're showing me? Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
We have a beach just down like a few seconds away from our house, and that's nice.
That's awesome. That's a really cool thing. That's really awesome.
I like my house because we have really good neighbors.
Yeah, great neighbors. That's a really great thing about a neighborhood. Yeah.
We have a lot of friends that live in the neighborhood that are around our age.
A lot of kids. Yeah, that's great. Ezra?
We live right behind the school. People go to school right behind us. So when school's out, we go to the playground and play on it.
Nice. A playground right in your backyard. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And then the giant fields.
Oh, cool. Play some soccer or something?
No, it's baseball. I think
baseball.
They play and soccer.
Nice. That's awesome. Thanks, everyone, for sharing what you love about your neighborhoods. What do you think you guys could do to make people feel welcome in your neighborhood so that this doesn't happen? If you see somebody that's moving in, how would you make them feel welcome?
We'll let others go first.
Okay. Ezra?
Be their friend.
Yeah, be their friend. That's great. Yep.
I would say, hello, my name's Everett. Do you want to be friends?
Oh, that's a really great way to make somebody feel welcome. Introduce yourself and just, ask them. Let's be friends.
When we moved into our neighborhood, our neighbors that live behind our house, their house is behind our house, they gave us cookies.
Ooh, snacks, baked goods. That's a really great way to make people feel welcome. That's awesome.
I was just going to say the same thing, that I like to bake something and bring it to a new neighbor.
That's great. What do you bake, Ricky?
Very often cookies.
Nice.
Everyone likes cookies.
Yes, that's awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us and participating in this discussion. I know if you received the book that there was some coloring pages. So, make sure to color on, I have them here. I'm gonna maybe color one later tonight of a house that you would like to live in, what you would want your ideal house to look like. Does anyone have any questions before we sign off tonight? No?
I mentioned that if you haven't gotten the book yet, you're on our list. So you'll be getting the book after the program. So either being able to pick it up at the Holland Museum or you'll be getting it in the mail. So it'll be coming in. The coloring pages will come with the book. So then you'll be able to do the activity then. Okay? So thank you everybody for being here, and thank you to Brianna and to Brisa for reading this really great book. And I hope you all enjoy your copy of the book and read it often. And now that you know a little bit more about fair housing, that you'll be welcoming everybody to your neighborhoods and telling people how to welcome people to their neighborhoods. And that's just a great thing to be able to do. So thank you all for being here tonight, and we really appreciate seeing you. So, okay. All right, so we're gonna sign off. So everybody wave.
Bye, everyone.
Everybody wave. All right, bye, thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.